You're listening to WorkWire, sponsored by Career Club and SHRM. Career Club has a range of services aimed at job seekers with an empathetic approach. Whether you are a job seeker yourself, know someone who is in job search, or an HR professional looking to bring a more empathetic approach to transitioning employees, check out career.club. If you are an HR professional seeking to enhance your skills, subscribe to SHRM and explore their extensive resources. Visit shrm.org. That's shrm.org.
Hey everybody, this is Bob Goodwin, and welcome to another episode of the Work Wire, where we explore the things that are affecting work and what even is the definition of work these days. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the one, the only, Johnny C. Taylor Jr., President and CEO of SHRM. Johnny, hello.
Hello, my man. It's great to see you. Great to see you. We have our spring colors on now, right?
We do. I like we didn't even color coordinate, but here we are. I told my wife I was going full Easter today. So today's Good Friday as we record this.
Good Friday.
So today we've got a really interesting topic. This just came out in the news, I believe, this week, but it's really a bold move by Shopify that is turning it. So Shopify, for those of y'all who don't know, is pretty much the leading platform for e-commerce, particularly for small businesses. And I think they've got over 1 million people, or companies, I should say, on their platform based out of Canada. And Shopify is an interesting company too, because like I believe it's just in last year, as they were coming into 2024, they saw that people were in meetings too much, and they just deleted 12,000 standing meetings off the calendar that they figured saved 95,000 hours or something like that of work time. So this is a company that is not afraid to make bold moves. And oh, by the way, they're also 100% remote. So 8,000 plus employees, and they're fully remote. So very, very interesting company. So, but today's topic is, in a recent internal memo, their CEO, Toby Lutka, laid down a new rule. I have not seen this before. Here's the quote. No new hires will be approved unless the team can prove that AI cannot do the job.
Yep.
Just let that sink in for a second. Right.
Yeah.
And so, it seems like this isn't just a cost saving tactic. It's really a declaration about the future of work, and one that says that AI isn't just another tool in the box. It's the first option on the table. So what do you think? Well, we've got some things to go explore, but what's your reaction to that?
Yeah. Well, so it's really interesting. I'm going to give you two quick takes on it. My first one is, I remember now, call it a year ago, when Goldman Sachs said, 300 million jobs will be impacted by AI over the next, I think they said 5 years, decade, I don't remember, but they had a bold number, 300 million. And I immediately said to myself, that's conservative. I absolutely believe that we are going to see, I envision a world where we're going to adopt AI so quickly that, and this is proof of it, Shopify, it's absolutely proof of this, and I said it, where companies are it will be the go-to first in some, so one, it'll either replace a person or it's going to augment a person. And if you can't, and essentially in augmenting them, you're kind of replacing what would have been a new hire anyway. Do you follow me? Yes. So if Johnny can do 150% of his work and is productive, then that's a person you would have otherwise hired to pick up the other 50%. So I do think we have to admit and acknowledge that while yes, the way that we're going to gain efficiencies of productivity out of AI, the downstream result is it's going to impact human beings and people's ability to work. That's one side of it. I absolutely believe displacement is a serious issue confronting human beings in societies who want to work. Bam. On the other side of it, I fundamentally believe that there's a way that human beings can work alongside or use the tools of AI to become super efficient, and that will free them up to do other things. So there's a quality of life thing. I know there are parts of jobs that I've had in the past as a lawyer, for example, that AI now can do, and it was painful. I no more wanted to go through reams of documents looking for the one smoking gun. I literally started my career, Bob, in a law firm, sitting in an office doing document review. So you literally have asked the other side to turn over all of these documents. They turn them over. You then sit in a room with T-shirts and jeans on as a very highly well-paid lawyer, reviewing documents, looking for the one line that is the gotcha line. The CEO said, okay, so AI can do that now. And he can do it. So I didn't want to do that. It would free me up as a lawyer to do different types of work. So I see the upside and the promise of AI. I also see that a significant percentage of the U.S. population in particular is going to be impacted. Here's a data point that folks don't know. SHRM did some research around this. It's about 13% of our current jobs, and I'm talking about people in jobs, will be displaced, literally, they will go away on account of AI in the next 5 years. 13%.
Wow.
Big
and how many workers do we have in the U.S., Johnny? 160 million?
168 million is the count.
Wow.
So just do the math. That's a lot of people. You're talking 17, 18 million people. I don't do math really well, but a lot of people will be impacted by this.
So
the challenge, talk about it. No. So there's two sides of it, and I hope everyone listening understands. And you can't overcorrect and think, oh my God, AI is coming and my job's going. It might be impacted. The line that I leave constantly when I'm asked in presentations about, will AI take my job? I say, it might. But your real threat is a human being who understands and utilizes AI. So it's not that if you're in HR, AI is going to take your job. It is an HR person who's proficient in AI who's going to take it.
One of the things that's interesting about this for me is the way even the mandate, I guess, for lack of a better word, it was put out. No new hires will be approved unless the team can prove AI cannot do the job. And that's a little bit in the negative in a sense. And I'm curious, Johnny, just knowing human beings,
right.
I'm going to be defensive. There's an excellent chance I'm going to be defensive. And the way you just set the question up, Toby, is now I'm going to go find reasons why AI cannot do this job. We're going to protect our own.
That's right. Human nature.
Human nature. It's 100% human nature to want to protect. And I'm curious, one, just your thoughts on that, and then how the dynamic would shift if the question was posed differently of proving AI can do the job. Where can AI add to this role, right?
Right.
What do you think?
So my guess is, and I don't know Toby, I don't know the context, but I can tell you there are a lot of my fellow CEO colleagues who have tried the nice approach over the last couple of years. Employees, we really want you to embrace AI. I want you as managers to go look at the tasks that your employees are engaged in and what are those tasks that really can be improved? And guess what? People nodded. To your point, some were just protective of their job, human nature, and so I'm not going to tell them. And that's why companies bring in consultants oftentimes, right? The management consultants, because they're like, find the efficiencies in this organization, whether AI is going to do it or just we're going to make yourself more efficient. My guess is, given his language, and again, I don't know this guy, but his language suggests to me, I've tried the nice guy approach. Now I got to be really clear. We are going to use AI to make ourselves more efficient and productive. And so that's interesting. I don't want to judge him. I like you when I first read it. I was like, wow, could have been a nicer way to say it. But my guess is this is a big business. This guy is operating, how many employees did you say around?
8,000. It's the largest public company in Canada.
Right. So he's not, my guess is he knew exactly why to use this tone at this moment. There's a level of frustration at times. It reminds me of a conversation we had on another WorkWire about Jamie Dimon. And we had that session, and a lot of people say, gosh, that seemed harsh. But there is a point where the CEO has tried the nice approach, the subtle approach, and it didn't work. So then they say, okay, let me be real clear. This is it, and I'm not playing anymore. I think that's where he is.
And I think that's probably definitely a significant chunk of it. I think he's known for kind of like Elon Musk with his challenge first principles, right? Yeah. So like I'm taking nothing for granted, like whatever, the assumptions are, I don't buy into them. So let's just start at the start. Tell me why AI can't do this.
By the way, you and I should on another WorkWire, when our audience joins us, we should talk about CEO styles and what is effective. We judge them a lot and we say, Elon Musk, not great approach, but you cannot deny his business success. I mean, this guy had the the nerve and the balls to take on the big three and create a fourth automaker that we're all talking about. And you and I know in our lifetimes, there was no such conversation about that, right?
Right.
He has done things that no one else would have done. SpaceX sends more, rockets to the moon and into the solar planet space than NASA does. You got to give it credit. I mean, right? Who you got to give them credit, right? So I want us to a whole nother conversation that I don't even know, but I love our audience to explore, because a lot of times we focus on what's good leadership and how good leaders show up and how they talk and all of that. Maybe.
With this, and I agree with you. I mean, this guy, is super smart. Obviously, he built a business based on a need that he saw for himself, because he was trying to launch a business. And he's like, all this e-commerce software is terrible. I bet we can do better. And that was his real business opportunity. He was going to open up like a dive shop or something. He's like, well, this e-commerce. So he's somebody that does question the status quo significantly. And to your point, and particularly with entrepreneurs, that is an amazing quality. That's what sets them apart, is the ability to see things that other people aren't seeing, and to kind of, again, just challenge the status quo.
And say things that others won't say. So see them and say it. And that's that thing.
Well, and bet their career and their fortune.
That's right.
On these things. So I have a huge respect for entrepreneurs. But on around innovation, again, I do want to just sort of explore just a second more of this, the way that the question is phrased, because if it was phrased in, what I want you to do, Johnny, before we approve this hire, I want you to, though, explore what are the aspects of this role that AI can do for us. Okay. I'm not saying I'm not going to improve your role. I just want you to kind of break the job down into the different tasks and things that need to be accomplished. And I just want an audit of what's AI-able in this.
Right. That's right.
Right. And so it becomes more exploration instead of defensiveness. And it's actually, I would kind of hope would foster innovation. Well, let me think about that. If that's a behavior that's going to be rewarded here, then I'm going to come at that with a more curious attitude about it. Then, well, you kind of set the rule up to prove to you why AI can't do it. So if that's what a touchdown looks like, I will try and prove what AI can't do about this. Do for in this particular role, why I need a human being and not AI. I don't know. Just as I was thinking about coming into this episode, it just really struck me, if the question was posed differently, would it set a different tone? And I heard what you said, and I'm not trying to revisit what we just said 5 minutes ago, but do you think it could have set a different exploration, curiosity, what's possible, instead of hunker down, get defensive?
Well, could it? So let me start with yes. I mean, I can tell you the first time I read it, I had the same reaction, like, wow, that's strong. And then as I dissected it and reflected again with my CEO hat on, could it be that he chose that language because he wasn't talking to his employees about their jobs? He was saying new hires.
Yeah.
So it is there is a difference between telling me that Johnny, and I think he would approach his employees differently than saying to employees, as you think about bringing this new person on, you got to make the business case for it. And I say that because as I reflect back 2 years ago, and it's amazing, almost 2 years, it was actually a year or so ago, we started seeing the first round of mass layoffs in 2024. Companies everywhere were laying people off. And they were publicly acknowledging that they overhired to a T. If you look at it, every headline was, I overhired, I've got to shrink back down. From Meta to this company to that company, they acknowledged it. And this could be an effort to say, make the case, because the worst, I can tell you as a CEO, I lose sleep at night when I have to think about layoffs, because I know that I'm going to affect someone's life and their livelihood. I know that affect their families. Their children might be in a private school, and so if daddy loses his job or mama loses her job, this affects them in real ways. So CEOs now are basically, and I do it with my folks, I try to not use that strong of a language, but I say, you got to make a heck of a business case for why we bring that person in. Forget AI. Just why do I need that person? Because it's easy to give people everything they ask for realize that the company can't carry that weight, and we start throwing people overboard. And that's called layoffs. And it is not a good feeling for a CEO, I promise you.
So
maybe that's what he's trying to avoid. Do you get my point? That
no, I totally do, but it does kind of beg the next question, which is I'm Toby at Shopify. I'm going to call my CHRO Johnny into my office and say, okay, yes, that was with new hires. What about these 8,000 people that we got? So, I'm continuing trying to grow the company, create more capacity for growth, more profitability for our shareholders, la, la, la. So, Johnny, we need to sit down and look at why can't AI do some percentage of these 8,000 people's jobs?
And now with my former CHRO hat on, that's a great conversation because I can see myself as CEO coming to my CHRO. I'm going to be both. This is like one of those movies. Right, I'm both people, but but I can see the CEO having that conversation, and then I'm on the CHRO side, and I said, okay, got it. We don't want to create panic and insecurity amongst our employees because it will scare not only the employees that maybe we don't care about losing, but it may scare the people who we do care about losing. So the how we deliver this message is going to be really important. And to your point, and I know this will make you happy because this is sort of where you come from. I'm always the tough guy on the work wire, and you're the nice guy.
But somebody has to be.
Somebody's got to be, because it ain't me. But I have my HR hat on right now. No, the idea is I say to them, okay, how about, first of all, before we threaten people or start challenging it, why don't we show them, educate them on how to use AI? Because it could be that they're not using it now because they don't know how to do it. They're afraid of it, whatever. So let's do this in stages. Give me 6 months to bring the organization's utilization of AI up. And in doing so, people will then begin to use it and find their own ways to gain the productivity and efficiencies that we want. Let's try that first. And we're seeing that right now. Companies all over it. Now I'm going to put my CEO hat on. Boy, I'm doing both. The CEO, I did the same thing at SHRM. I went to our CHRO and I said, listen, we have to get more efficiency and productivity out of our employees. So I want you to start now. We're going to have mandatory AI training sessions for all employees. You know how we used to do mandatory sexual harassment and anti-discrimination? We're going to do mandatory AI. And we're going to shut the business down so that everyone is doing it at the same time. So it's not, Johnny, you can do this. And what Johnny does is plays a little clip and does his laundry at the same time. We all know how people don't necessarily have to engage, they just have to complete. So we're going to do mandatory AI training. So we're setting aside an hour per week or an hour per month where the entire business stops and AI. That's what I would say to Toby is give me the ability first to get utilization up. Then we can go in and say to employees who are using it comfortably, are there parts of your job that we can do, you can use it? So you get stage it and then deliver that message to employees as this is skill building for you.
Well, and so I love all that, and I think that's right. Apparently, Shopify is building in AI fluency competency into their performance reviews.
Yes.
So you can't opt out, to
That's
your
right.
point. Like we're all in on this. But it's if you zoomed out just a little bit, because people have roles, people have titles, and I need to hire a new director of marketing. That's the role and the title. What this really kind of brings forward, I know this isn't a completely new idea at all, but like let's deconstruct what is the work that's getting done. So rather than kind of paving cow paths, if you will, right, with technology, it's like, why are we even doing this at all? Is there a better, smarter, faster way to be doing this work that needs to get done that allows and that's where I think, as a strategic CHRO, you can bring tremendous value to their organization. So rather than kind of chasing the wagon, it's like, no. I'm going to lead this thing because we're going to take a look at how work gets done here, what work adds the most value, what work is uniquely human, and then let's use computers for what computers are good at, and then and then there's the upskilling that only benefits the employee. I mean, it benefits the employer, but I mean, employees by definition benefit from upskilling and reskilling.
Right.
And so I think that there's just a lot of opportunity and I kind of teed up the episode this way, even kind of redefining work, when we look at it through the lens of being innovative about how it even gets done.
Bob, yes and yes. Double click on everything that you've said. And that's what we're trying to do. Now, we have to be fair to everyone. Remember the date, November 30th, I think it was, 2022, is when all of us were even introduced to anything. That was the introduction of ChatGPT. So AI was not even a thing to the average citizen 2 years ago.
Right.
It just, right. So this is all new. It really is. And it's complicated, it's scary, it's a whole bunch of things. So people are naturally xenophobic. I mean, we kind of know that. They have a fear of the unknown for people who don't play SAT words. Like
you did that for me, and thank you.
But we're just naturally xenophobic. And so as a result, and we naturally defend this current sort of status quo, because that's what we know. Anything else is a threat. We perceive it as a threat.
That's right.
And so as a result, people are struggling with this, and we are all struggling with it. Companies wanting to gain the efficiency. So here's a company. So I just learned about this the other day. It's called Work Helix. And I'm not doing a commercial for anybody because I don't know them. But what I've understood is the following. They take any job. They've set up a whole construct that says there are basically, call it 10,000 tasks that the world of work, everyone can find their job in there. And they take your job, assign it to what tasks are included in your job, and they come out and through some fancy recipe that they come out and say, Johnny, 60% of what you do can be done only by a human. 25% of what you do could be augmented by a human with AI. 15% of what you do can literally be done by AI or some machine. And there you have it. And it tells you, now that they've taken all of your tasks, where the 15, 25, and 60% sit. They literally are now going into companies and doing that for companies. Okay, but let me tell you what happens. You explain that to the head of HR at a company, a target company. Great. Your CEO, ecstatic. Everyone's happy. The employees learn that this tool is going to deconstruct my job. And suppose this tool says 60% of what I do can be done by a machine. They're not stupid. And it reminds me back in the day, I had a friend who worked at a restaurant, and she said they brought this new employee in and they asked me to teach her. And she said, I know what they're doing. They're teaching her so that she can take my job. And therefore, I'm not going to teach her. And that was like, think about it. So people aren't stupid. Like if they size up that this could go bad for me, we got a hell of a job to sell. Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean, that's why I go back to the human nature of this thing. People don't like change because change is threatening. We don't tend to react well to the carrot. We definitely react to the stick.
That's right.
And so, and to your earlier point about outside consultants and stuff like that, you can see like we need somebody that's got an objective, or at least in theory objective, but they do work for the CEO and the board. So, maybe they are looking for something. But the other aspect of this is, just even fundamentally, we're talking about tasks. I think that the ladder up from that is teams and projects and being, you talked about layoffs earlier. And I think about, hey, I'm on this marketing team and we've just figured out that AI can do a lot of the copywriting, let's just say, for argument's sake. And that's 60% of your job, Bob. And so Work Helix just came in and said 60%. So I guess we need to lay you off versus, and I don't want to mix topics here too badly, but kind of a talent marketplace that says, well, that worked true, but we like Bob. Bob's a great collaborator. He lives our values. He's smart. He's curious. He's all the things that we like. How can we reassign him in the company to projects or things that are less, AI-able than what he has been doing, instead of the knee-jerk reaction being, well, then we can just let him go. We just save money.
But remember, so two different, and this now goes back to that nuance that I was trying to identify. That's true for an in-house employee. What Toby at Shopify was doing was saying, do this on the front end and just not bring the person in.
Yes, that's right.
So that was his point, was because I don't want to be in a position, who is your hypothetical, is it Bob? You don't want to be in a position where you're having that conversation with Bob if you don't need to. If this stuff can be done by AI on the front end, then why hire that person? So different thing, different message for employees who are looking to be recruited. For the in-house Bob, it's true. Let's look about where we can put him, where we can reskill him. But here, Bob, I want to take this to its end, logical end. Guess what, Bob? Nothing else you can do that we have need for. So therefore, you got to go. And that's more likely the result is everyone is looking for efficiencies. And Bob, maybe there's other things you can do, but I don't know. And Bob knows that could be the outcome.
Right. And all I'm suggesting, and I agree with everything you said, all I'm suggesting is that there is a bias for retention because great people are hard to find. They're expensive to find. There's the ramp up period. There's lots of risk in hiring new people. And if you've got somebody that you've already got and you're the front of the line on upskilling, reskilling, right? So are there things that we can do that at least our preferred option is, can we redeploy Bob? If we can't, then it is what it is.
Well, you've heard me say that there are two things I recruit for. One is competency, and number two is cultural alignment.
Right.
And I'd like to say they're equal, but believe it or not, if it's 51-49%, the first 51% cultural alignment, because I've found incredibly talented people who will not work in your environment, your culture. So finding a Bob who understands how we work and is and likes it and is engaged, I can teach Bob, if he's willing, almost anything. But I sure as hell can't teach a really smart person who's not culturally aligned how to get culturally aligned. I'm living that and have lived that in my career before.
No, that is so true. I think we talked about this one time, but for me, the unpacking, if you will, of the cultural thing, there's proficiency, which is competency. Can you do the work that we need for you to do? That's table stakes. You need to be able to do the work. But then there's passion. Are you aligned to our mission or vision? Do you care, right? About what we do, why we do, who we serve, all those kinds of things.
And how we do it.
And how we do it, yes. Right. Then there's personality. Are you like, people hire people at some very real level, and so like letting your personality come out and being you, and the way that I say it is, your values align, but you're a cultural ad, right? Right, which is great. And then there's potential. Do you want to continue to grow and learn? And if you're sufficiently motivated, back on the passion piece, then your curiosity to continue to get better and to learn new things should almost be innate in that. So I completely agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of talented people who are not great fits where they are.
That's right.
And
most people deserve to find that place where they can thrive as the person. It is painful. And I've seen this, and I know you have, really talented person who is just in the wrong culture for them. It's not a bad culture.
That's right.
It's just bad for them. And that is, so Bob, if Bob is thriving in that environment, you're absolutely right. You say to Bob, listen, we're going to figure out something for you to do. And that may sound, you'll do it, word a little bit more artful than that, but something that aligns with your skills. We're going to give you the skills so that you're aligned with it and you can be proficient because you are team X. The other thing I want to point just before we wrap is when I go back to Spotify, I keep saying Spotify, I mean Shopify. I'm so sorry. If you're from working there, please accept my apologies. Shopify, that's a very unique culture. And you described it. 8,000 people fully remote. That's unique, Bob. That's very, very unique in and of itself. At a minimum, most of these people, most organizations like that have a corporate headquarters and everybody else is working remotely.
Right.
It's their model. But typically that management team, that nucleus, has a war room. They are all together. It sounds like, I don't know them, but it sounds like they're fully, at least that's the way they represent themselves, is fully remote. Okay, if that's the case, that in and of itself is a very unique culture. if this guy is the entrepreneur that he is, entrepreneurs speak differently, think differently. They oftentimes, I've worked for 3 of them, serial entrepreneurs, and I'm on the board of another one. And they don't suffer fools. They have a high tolerance for risk. And they say, like you said, they look to see what they see, and then they say it. And they don't spend as much time wrapping it. You know, you're going to get the gift. It just may not have gift wrapping on. That's just the way they think. And it's just, and so part of this is he's speaking to you in ways that describe his culture. And that's the thing I never want to take away from anyone. I went to Chick-fil-A, quick story, and they invited me to give a talk there. And I had a speech that I've given, and that one of their people heard me give it somewhere else and kept saying, "We'd like to give you the speech. But we start with a prayer, and you cannot use profanity or curse words during your speech." And I don't curse at anyone, but because I'm a Southern, and my grandma cussed.
Your grandma, I knew that was coming up.
Everybody cussed. So, but that's their culture. And so you understand it. Oh, and by the way, we expect you to have a jacket on and a shirt. We don't do the T-shirts and jeans to come keynote for our management team. You will show up. Now, you don't have to wear a tie, but the rest of it better look formal. That is their culture. And there's literally nothing wrong with that. It is fine that Apple dresses a different way than Chick-fil-A. So I want the Shopify folks, or the folks listening, I really believe that in some ways you can't tell people to bring their authentic or their full selves to work except the CEO. No? Yes. By the way, I agree. I don't believe in people bringing their full or whole or authentic selves to work. I just don't believe in that. But whatever you want, this guy is telling you who he is. And then so you make decisions you have a choice too, the choice to work there or not. It's not like you have a right to work there, and it's not like he has a right to tell you to work there. Everybody's doing this because they want to work there, and you should hear what he's saying about what the culture is. Doesn't bother me. It's interesting. As the CEO, perhaps that's why it doesn't bother me, but I will, as you wrap this up, say I probably would have said it differently. But I also don't live in that situation. I don't know the specifics.
Well, one last thing, and I do want to wrap this up with you, but if you were, let's say that the CEO of the next company reads this article and like, holy cow, yeah, I'm going to go do that. And drags their CHRO into his or her office and says, hey, this is what I want to do. This is our new rule. Is there any advice that you would give that CHRO ethically, practically, legally, in any like I know your CEO's jazzed up about this idea. Just before he or she gets too far out of the barn, I would encourage you to have them think about 1, 2, 3.
Number 1, empathy. So forget the legal environment, everything. Just go back and say, walk in these people's shoes. When they hear this message, I want you as my CEO to allow me to help you be more empathetic in your approach. That is just number 1. And as CHROs, that's where you have to have that confidant relationship with the CEO. You've got to be able to go talk to him or her and say, come on, I got what you're doing, but let's not go in with the hammer. It will have really negative long-term effects for us. That's number 1. Number 2, I would say in terms of my HR team, now that we know we have to do it, let's spend a lot of time figuring out how to take people through it. So really, really, really intentionally, this is not something that you just push out because you can have a lot of internal damage. Empathy built in, but the whole idea is just executing. How do you do this in such a way where it does not create a real negative experience for people who we want to stay here, by the way? And that's it. And then thirdly, I'd say come up with a solution. Like the solution is, Mr. CEO or Miss CEO, you want this? Let me tell you exactly what we're going to do to get you there. And it may involve things like a planned skills upgrade throughout the organization. Like come up with a solution so that your CEO understands what you're trying to achieve.
No, I love that. So, and that gets into just that, as you said, that confidant relationship and, the competence that they're showing them to have the courage to actually say what needs to be said. But at the end of the day, it's the CEO's decision, and we respect that. What do? We discuss, we commit, or we discuss, decide, commit, and we're off to the races. So, Johnny, This is going to be such a fun one to watch to see
Yes.
how this unfolds. You know, the Shopify guy, Toby, has got a pretty big platform. He's got a
Yes.
lot of success. It says, well, the way he does stuff looks like it works. To your point, it may be in their unique culture that things like this work and may not just sort of, drop into your culture and all of a sudden it's going to work the same way. It probably won't. But very, very interesting. Again, we're still in very early innings of the
That's
whole
right.
AI journey.
Yep.
As you said earlier, we've only been known how to spell AI for 2 years.
That's right.
So,
That's a good one. That's right. So I love it.
So-
Well, I look forward to talking more about it.
we will do that. So, Johnny, as always, great seeing you on the Work Wire. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon, sir.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Check out career.club for personalized help with your job search. Visit shrm.org to become part of the largest human resources organization worldwide.